Okay.
If you haven't already, just be sure to mute. I will mute you. Don't take it personally. Perfect. Thank you, everybody. All right. Welcome to the Iowa Community of Practice. I'm Jessica Crejo, a member of the Employment First Leadership Team in the Iowa Coalition for Integration and Employment. Welcome to July's Community of Practice. Really excited about today's topic and our presenters. We have some of the best in the state, the innovators in the state, so really excited. Let's take care of a couple housekeeping things. Thank you to the Iowa Developmental Disabilities Council and IVRS for their continued investment, leadership, and collaboration with IC on the Community of Practice. Today's session will be recorded and will be shared back with the mailing list along with any materials. Captions are provided. Thank you so much to our lead captioner, Heather Johnson, and the Center for Inclusive Design and Innovation. Again, the link is in the chat if you need that. If you have any questions, comments, ideas you want to share or talk to Maddie or Michaela about today, please feel free to raise your hand or pop something in the chat, or when we open it up, just come off mute and ask those questions, share those reactions and ideas. We would love that. So I think without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Michaela Simmons, Director of Employment Services for Hope Haven in Rock Valley, and Maddie Loneman, the manager of My Day, Day Have services there too. And the ladies have agreed to come and chat with us again about some of the exciting and innovative things that they're doing, that collaboration between programs, between employment services and day have services, and encouraging employment and creating movement and momentum towards employment, right? And always having that expectation for employment first. So again, Maddie, Michaela, thank you so much for joining us today, and it's all yours.
Hello, everybody. I'm Michaela.
And I'm Maddie.
And we work for Hope Haven. We were invited today to kind of talk about our partnership with employment and day services. I'm going to go ahead and try to share my PowerPoint here. Okay, so everybody should be seeing it. We're going to kind of go through how, oh, Maddie, why isn't it going on? Oh, there we go. Kind of how this whole process started for us. It's been a long journey. I know a lot of people, I don't know where you're at in the process, but just know that this started for us about 8 years ago. The big start for us were to, we kind of came on as an employment first provider, which happened in 2012, and that came through when we started having the discussion about moving from sheltered employment. At that point, we had 260 individuals that were in sheltered work. And we knew that coming down the pike, you know, employment and sheltered work just wasn't going to be an option. And with settings rules, we just didn't know what it looked like. And as many of you know, Hope Haven is always kind of likes to be at the forward thought of where do we go next with this? You know, sheltered work, we had some really great opportunities that we were doing. You know, we had government contracts, we had amazing things going on. But as we came on with Employment First, we saw that community integrated employment was where it was going to be and where we needed to be. After 2012, we started with My Choice Employment. That was Tony herself at that point. So it was an exciting adventure to say, hey, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this. But how did we get there? 260 people in a sheltered work environment, one person to do community employment in 11 different counties. How do you get there? You know, so kind of going forward, we in 2016 decided that sheltered work wasn't going to be an option in Iowa. In our transition team, we also brought in our day hab services when we started going through and meeting with our subject matter experts, because we knew, you know, one person and all those individuals, it was going to be a time, you know, it was going to take some time to get people out in the community. So we really started to look at what did our day services look like, you know, what did we need to do to move forward? So we started looking at, you know, doing different activities, that kind of stuff, because, you know, going from sheltered work, people were doing 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and that was a meaningful activity. So we just wanted to make sure that people didn't necessarily feel that, oh, you know, sometimes when you ask people about day services, they were just like, no, that's not really for me. And we didn't want it to be that way. It's not something that we wanted individuals to feel like they were necessarily losing something. So we knew that we had to kind of get together and make some changes so it was a meaningful day for everybody involved. With that, we made the decision in 2019 to do a name change, because we didn't want people saying day hab, you know, we wanted it to be more about choice. So we renamed it to My Day. So people were able to say kind of what their day looked like and how they went about their day. Our director of day hab was a part of the committee that was doing the rules change within day hab. So she kind of had a pivotal role of saying what she wanted to see done, and with our employment first, you know, how we wanted to be seen. We really strived for getting employment into day hab. It's something that we've always thought kind of worked well in day hab, just because, you know, it's a service that gets you ready for employment, you know, and in the past with the rules, you just weren't able to do that. You weren't even really able to talk about anything employment, you know, any of the principles, that kind of stuff. So it was just really amazing that in 2021 that the day hab rules came about, and we were able then to start talking a little bit more about those soft skills of employment. Some other things, you know, we then with the day habs rules, we started looking at how we wanted our staff trained in our day services program. So we made the decision that our My Day staff would be trained like we do our employment staff. They come in and they take the same trainings and are provided with, you know, just the very basic employment principles, which, you know, kind of has everybody on board then.
That's
Oh, sorry. So then, you know, people are having a better understanding of where we're going towards employment, even if it is in the day hab environment. And then in the past year, we started with the day hab tracks, which is just different types of day services. We realized that in a center environment, that a lot of times people, you know, there might be somebody that's, you know, getting older and just kind of wants to relax. And then there might be another individual in there that's just geared up and, you know, thinking about employment. So we established what we call our day hab tracks, and we'll kind of go into that in a little bit here about what those are, but it kind of allowed us to align people with where they have a better group setting. So you're not just having 10 people with all different, you know, interests and that kind of stuff. It kind of allows us to group people in a more like-minded way. So this is our day hab, kind of where we were, you know, in 2019. We were able then to use Day-Hab as more of a wraparound service for employment, because as we know, as we came away from sheltered work, a lot of individuals might not necessarily have an 8-hour job. So we kind of structure our days to fit individuals. So they might just come in for 2 hours in the morning and then leave to go to a job, or they might, vice versa. So our Day-Hab services kind of allow people to come and go to help, supplement some of their day. And with the Day-Hab rule change, we're able to do a lot of different things, such as career planning, job exploration. Community inclusion has been huge for us. We really push people to be out, be active members of their community. We're not necessarily sitting and doing a lot of activities within the center. It's just all about being a part of community and figuring that out. And then also working through skills and competencies, for community integrated employment. Like I said, we really had to take into consideration with the rule change how we were training staff. So we really went through all of our different training stuff. We probably sat for a month or so and went through all the training videos, because we didn't want people to be like, oh, what's this all about? But we wanted it to be beneficial, so people had a better understanding of the employment process, but then not necessarily giving them too much so that they would think that they needed to go out and job coach, that they weren't out maybe trying to make job matches while they were out touring businesses during my day. There's a fine line there that you kind of have to make sure that you discuss that with staff. It's like you have the tools, but maybe leave it to the other side to be able to do that. But and that's something important to remember too. The initial was 9.5 hours and then 4 hours annually. So we're always kind of trying to look out to see what, new up and coming trainings we have. We've, this year, we've kind of looked at customized discovery has been something that we've been pretty passionate about. So we've been really talking about that with our My Day individuals, because it's kind of, it helps a lot within Day-Hab to be able to look at different pieces of a person and to start, figuring out where people are and what their true passions are. So that's something that we're kind of looking at for this year.
So Michaela kind of touched on the My Day tracks earlier. We provide, as of this year, we've provided 4 My Day tracks. So when somebody's enrolled into My Day, we're able to place them into an intentional grouping. So we have Skills Unlimited, Pathway to Employment, Life Enrichment, and Resiliency and Recovery. And I'll kind of go through and break down what each one means. The Skills Unlimited track is designated for our individuals to work on becoming a full member of their community. So really digging down and working on those skills, social skills, being appropriate. So this is kind of our vague track where we put people in that really need some physical and sensory support needs. And later down the road, once they increase this independence, and it prepares them so that we can transition them into one of our other tracks that are a little bit more specialized. Pathway to Employment is going to be an important one today that we talk about quite a bit, but this was designed to help individuals work on building and maintaining their skills. So this could include members that already have a job, that are wanting a job, maybe they've worked but have some behavioral needs. So they're in this group and intentionally grouped together so that they can talk about what they're doing at work or what they would like to do at work. So they go out and into the community. So there's many activities for the employment track.
Oops. I don't know. It's not going, Maddie.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
The Life Enrichment track is what Michaela had mentioned. So this was our slower moving elderly aging community. So people with significant health challenges that cause them to want to be slower paced for their day. Some individuals have worked in the workshop or they've worked their 40-hour week and they've done their job and they want to.
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
we thought
Are
we
we
lost you.
back?
I know, I'm sorry. I turned my camera off, but you're okay.
We're
Keeping
still
you on your
That's
toes.
fine.
So the life enrichment track is, you know, a slower paced track that they can focus on some of those skills on continuing their memory care, socialization, community inclusion. And this really helps with the individualization of that, that, you know, they can have coffee group and they can go do those things and slow down, and they don't have the 20-year-old waiting to go out in the van and get out in the community. So it's really a great thing. And lastly, we have our resiliency and recovery track. This is great for our members that have a dual diagnosis of mental health and ID. So we help them thrive in their community, providing an inclusive, comfortable atmosphere to share their feelings. A big thing we work on in this track is coping skills and how to focus on maintaining that mental health. And if they do have a lapse in that, getting them back to their stable ground and making them comfortable to share that. So here are some objectives of the employment track. Michaela and I might just kind of go back and forth here. So we have like a positive personal profile that we complete for everybody in My Day, so that we can better understand, you know, how they learn, how they react to things in their environment.
And then we also we went through and made kind of a resource library. And we just kind of go through different sources of,
Like case 2.0,
Yeah.
like just like a bunch of my choice things we can use in the employment track that they can do as a group. It could be worksheets, it could be on the job, out in the community type stuff. So,
and we also do a lot of volunteer work. This is a little more difficult because, you know, we have to make sure it's with other nonprofits, and, you know, it's positions that necessarily somebody else wouldn't be paid for. So we've really had to ensure that when people reach out and have volunteer opportunities, that those are the big things to make sure. But I would say most of our sites probably volunteer four times a week.
yeah, we have fostered some great volunteer work that is more than just the typical cleaning and stuff like that, you know, more of like the interaction with community members, getting them to really do things that could be a job that they would like to do. So that's a great way to figure out what skills they're good at in the
Right.
employment track once they master that.
Yep. You know, advocacy, self-determination, those are big things that we try to focus on, making sure that people are, you know, working towards saying what they want and how they want to do it, which is great in an employment environment. Yeah, and then just, you know, behavior management, self-regulation, just those day-to-day skills that really play out in a work environment. Also financial management, you know, what does it look like when I get a paycheck, that kind of stuff. Because a lot of our individuals we've found over the years, you know, there's always the scaredness of, you know, once I get a job, am I going to lose my benefits? So that's something that we also work through, you know, and talk about at length, kind of what that process looks like. And we're blessed to also have, you know, a benefits person with Hope Haven that is willing to come in and kind of break it down for individuals and say, hey, you know, this is what we're working towards, and this is what it would look like. So it makes that first step a little less scary.
Really important part, the last objective is strong focus on inclusion in the community in which members live and work. So that employment track really needs to be a huge part of that community and mapping that. You know, our other groups might be out and about a little bit more in other towns, but our employment track really needs to be rooted in the community in which they want to work. So
yes,
volunteering and giving back is important.
And intentional with their interactions, you know, making sure that when you're out that you are, you know, making those connections and doing them to the best of your ability. Within our My Day, we make sure, it was one of our first things that when we were striving towards going away from sheltered work, one of our first goals was to spend at least 80% of our days out in the community. Back in the day, I know a lot of you who have probably been in this for a while, there was times where, you know, we would just spend our days playing cards or, you know, watching a little bit of The Price is Right and doing that kind of stuff. But, you know, times have changed and day hab has become more community inclusive. So that was one of our first goals, was to start spending 80% of our days out in the community. And that kind of looks like, you know, the 20% that were actually in the buildings is usually for check-in and then for leaving at the end of the day, and then, you know, to be there for lunch or any, you know, incidental stuff that needs to go on. But the rest of the day, we encourage people to be out in the community, you know, either volunteering or doing stuff within the community. And then our training, you know, like I had said before, we really strive to have dual trained staff within the program, within our My Day program. And that's really kind of led us to the next step that we're going to talk about, that a lot of our individuals that work in day have started working and supporting individuals that work in My Choice as well. It's just kind of worked well because our day is, you know, 4.25 hours. So staff have a little additional time, you know, to get them to an 8-hour day. So a lot of people have reached out and said, hey, you know, I would really like to support this person to go out and work in the community. So they kind of follow that person throughout the day to help assist, you know, in the workforce shortage. It has really, you know, worked as a benefit to have people move throughout the day with the individual. And it works well because that person knows the individual, they know, you know, how they work and that kind of stuff. So
They're very comfortable.
yeah. And then we have a little video. This is one of our individuals, kind of a little bit of a backstory on it. He worked in sheltered work for many years, had a difficult time in sheltered work. It just, paying attention and, you know, having appropriate social interactions were difficult. After sheltered work quit, he went into My Day, where they've extensively worked on a lot of skills with him. And he now is working out in the community, has a community integrated job, and his job coach is actually works in My Day and then follows him to his job in the community. So we'll play.
Hello, my name is Kelsey Joseph. I'm the sibling My Day lead, and I have been with Habilitation for 2.5 years.
I am a My Day direct support professional, and I also work with My Choice job coaching to different individuals.
Taylor has developed his social skills, so kind of knowing how to go into an interview, talk to his employer, talk with fellow employees, and just how to like follow tasks and job responsibilities.
One of the things that we've been working on with Taylor for some time is his ability to focus on an activity. And it comes in his job, he needs to focus so he can complete each step. So I feel like that's probably the biggest thing that we have taught him. And we use a lot of first and then prompts for him.
What kind of skills did you learn?
Stay focused.
There you go. That's your goal, right?
Yeah.
What is Taylor doing at My Day to work on his employment skills?
So I think Taylor is working on boundaries, kind of knowing, you know, you can't just hug your boss all the time, or how to greet people appropriately, the difference between, you know, friends and coworkers, but also utilizing the employment track in the My Day program. He's been able to work on some of those job skills, employment skills, and different things that kind of go with the boundaries and appropriateness of the workplace. His current job coach, Brenda, saw a posting on Facebook from the place that he calls his dream job. And she sent it to me. And then as a lead, I forwarded it on to the job coach lead here at Sibley so she could get that set up.
Peter would walk past the Timewell plant when we would go on walks. And every time he walked past that plant, he would always say, "That's my dream job." And there was a Facebook post saying that they were looking for a part-time janitor. And I sent that post, I screenshot it, sent it to Kelsey, who in turn sent it to the work lead. And Taylor went and interviewed and he got the job.
How did you get this job?
It started with working here,
Yeah.
What'd you do here?
cutting pants.
Yep, you worked in the workshop, right?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of gives us a full circle picture of Taylor. So with her knowing him already here at My Day, it helped her understand some things and some steps that would be helpful for his job as far as following tasks. But then on the flip side here, because she's learning how he learns and how he understands tasks, it's helping us to see areas where we can continue to pull out his strengths, but areas where we also need to work on to help him both in his day-to-day life and his job.
As working in My Day, Taylor's activities are different than when he's at work. We concentrate on being in the community and learning how to be a good community member. We work on his goals, and his goals here include focusing, which is one of Taylor's goals in his My Choice program. I love the fact that I get to know Taylor. I know him well. He and I get to interact during My Day, but we also get to interact at his job. And I'm going to be honest with you, Taylor and I have a great time working together. It's definitely different than when I'm here.
I work at Timewell.
When you're cleaning, what do you do?
Sweep, vacuum, dust, and mop.
Do you like your job?
Yes.
What made you want to work there, Taylor?
The forklift.
Who's your job coach?
Brenda Post.
What do you like about having Brenda at work with you?
I said focus
You stay focused? How does she help you stay focused?
with music.
Are they good people to work with?
Yes.
How often do you work?
2:45. 2:45 until 6.
Do you feel like this was your dream job?
Yes. That's my dream job.
What makes it amazing?
Everything.
Did you have to interview for your job, Taylor?
Yes.
How did that go?
Good.
Who went with you to the interview? Did Nicole go with you?
Yeah.
Oh, what'd you wear?
My best.
You wore your nice vest.
Yep.
Did they ask you questions?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like you're asking me some questions.
Yeah. Were you nervous?
Yeah, a little.
Job.
I love my job.
How much do you love your job?
This much.
Okay, now.
Yeah.
So as you can see, Taylor's one of the many that we've kind of reached out and just went through the process with. When you're with an individual during My Day, you get to learn them well. You get to understand what their dreams are, how they want to work, where they want to work, and just spending that quality time, which then helps them to pursue that in employment. So we've just found that this partnership and relationship has really worked well for Hope Haven and for the individuals that we serve, because they're finding those quality jobs that really, truly are their dream job. Taylor he loves what he does, and he's just very excited about that.
It wouldn't have been possible without the communication across the departments. what he's saying in My Day, translating that to the employment team so that they know that this is his dream job. So an everyday My Day activity driving by turned into his real dream job.
So I guess we'll open it up to questions if anybody has questions or.
What a great story. Right, to kind of help, bring to life all the things that you're talking about. I absolutely love that example. And some of the things I picked up was, that Brenda and the team really know Taylor well. They know how he learns and how he's going to be best supported. And it also really highlighted, I think, what you were talking about, being intentional with the things that you're doing, including activities rooted in the community, because Brenda said we walked past that business, on our walks every day. It's such a beautiful thing, right? So yeah, really, really cool. Those are some of the things that I kind of picked out from that story. Besides him, the fact that he's beaming and very excited and very proud of what he does. So. Let's see. Oh, here we go. I've got one. How does the process go in finding out which of the 4 areas of the program are the best fit for someone? Or so how do you kind of determine which track might work best for somebody?
Yeah, so during that enrollment process, when somebody applies to be in My Day, we have a team meeting with their guardian and that member. And as a manager and the My Day lead, we just kind of read off. We have an overview of all the tracks that we hand out to the guardians and the member. And we let them take that home, and we kind of reach out after they've had some time to look it through. And after, learning a little bit more about what the members like, and we kind of discuss as a team what we think that member would do best in. Now, there's not to say that if they get put in the employment track that they'll stay there. It's kind of like how I said with the skills. They're always moving around, and maybe the employment track only meets once or twice a week, and the other days they're in the skills track. So it is very versatile that way.
That's cool. I was going to ask you a track question about what's kind of the size of, I was going to say the size of the tracks, but that doesn't really make sense. So what do those group sizes kind of look like if you at one time maybe have a lot of people interested in particular tracks, or like you said, it sounds like it's a lot of moving parts.
So we've kind of had to get creative with that. So sometimes our members in Spirit Lake, we have a huge recovery and resiliency track there. So a lot of our members, we have a big group of 10 that do that. In our other towns, we don't really have a recovery and resiliency track because it's not needed there. But we've had to combine a few towns and move some things around so that there is a track that everybody can move into and have that. So like Life Enrichment, every town kind of has that 5 to 6 size group, or maybe even 10 people that could use that slower paced day. So it really just depends on the need that you have in that program, and being able to offer them, well, we don't really have a huge Life Enrichment track, but Spencer does, or a different town does. So yeah, it's kind of just depends on the area and the need.
Yeah. And I know with the employment track that they've tried to keep it more to like a 4 to 5, just because when you're out working on employment skills, you don't want to be in a big group. And that's something in all the tracks, I think, when Maddie says it's a group of up to 10, that there's usually typically 2 staff, then 2 to 3 staff, just to try to keep those, we don't want to have a huge footprint in the community. We want to keep it small and allow people to have those interactions and not a huge group setting, because you get more genuine interaction in the community when it's not a big group coming in.
Yeah, thank you. I love that. Well, and to me, that seems to, you're talking a lot about some of the principles or the values, right, that you're following. And that makes me think of, you said, not leaving a big footprint, right? Just this group of people moving around and different or outside or them, there they are, right? And maybe allows you to individualize more, to kind of tailor to what people are kind of wanting to do or learn more about. I wondered earlier, I've got it circled here, when you talked about changing the name of the program, and then that reminded me of, My Choice, right? Kind of that was intentional too, right? To use different
Yes.
language. And you said, we didn't want people saying like day have, right? And I love that. Will you just like tell us a little bit more about how important you think that is or was, or the impact of that language or not using that language, and kind of talking about it in such a different way?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted the total mind shift of, we didn't want people to think about individuals just sitting in a room, doing activities, playing board games, that kind of stuff. We wanted the full mind switch. The name kind of came, we put out there to all the different sites that did day have. People just got to throw the names out there.
Mhm.
And then we did a voting process. So it wasn't just like us coming in saying this is what it's going to be. And it just kind of happened to coincide with my choice that it was my day as well. It just kind of came about that way. But it truly did a mind shift for us and how we wanted to be represented. And, just how people talk about it too, when they're saying it's my day, because it truly is their day to, have that choice of what they do and where they go and those things.
Right. Yeah. So it really impacted the team too, it sounds
Yeah.
like, and kind of,
Yeah.
right, yeah. And their expectations and kind of how they implemented even, right?
It wasn't us just saying this is what you're going to do today. It was about having different choice. And, too, we do extensive calendar planning where it's not staff choosing what individuals are doing. The individuals, go through and say what they want to do every day. There's, 3 or 4 activities a day that people throw out there that we go and do. So it is truly their day, and how they choose to do it.
I think that kind of gets at Kim's question, which is, what do you do if your group sizes vary so much each day? So kind of, it sounds like logistically, kind of how are you doing that? Or
Yeah, depending on the ratio for the day, that would determine, what type of activity you could do. You could kind of stay in, and if you have a group of 6 or 7 or 8 employment people, and kind of focus more on those soft skills and talking about interviewing and that sort of stuff. And then if you had a smaller group, that's when you kind of go out and do your tours and your, what we call flash mob. We have a group that likes to go out and just kind of tour a business and show up and just say, hey, do you have 5 minutes? Can we talk to you about what you do? We want to learn more about it. So just something fun like that.
And we've had to learn to be a little more flexible, with stuff
Yeah.
that's been going on the last 2 years. I don't know, with staffing shortages and COVID, we've really had to be more flexible of, what our activities look like, our staffing ratios and that kind of stuff. And I'm sure everybody's going through that same thing, you have to be flexible. You can't be just stuck with this is what we were going to do today.
Mm-hmm. So the flexibility actually, or that kind of that unknown even of, maybe how many are going to show up and when and what we're going to do actually kind of works and allows, interesting.
Yeah, that employment track, I mean, I would say that's the most difficult one. A lot of our employment track people, they come and go from their jobs. So you have somebody coming in at 12:30 and you might have a group outing plan. So you really have to be intentional about having your group outing in the morning and being back before that other person comes back from work. So it's a lot of planning and scheduling things and communication across teams.
Yeah. Maddie, what kind of support do you feel like your day have staff get to be able to do that? Or do you feel like there's any kind of specific support or training or something that you kind of give them, to kind of to support them in that flexibility and kind of managing that unknown? And
So when we're calendar planning, the best way to do that is that we calendar plan every day of the week. And what I mean by calendar plan is that once a month, we plan what we're going to do for the future month. So that employment track or that skills track, they sit down with their staff member every single day of the week. So on Monday, they plan for all the Mondays that are going to happen in The next month. So next month is June, July, August. So this month they calendar plan for August. So on Monday, they're going to calendar plan with the members that attend on Mondays, and then on Tuesdays with Tuesdays. So that way they're picking things that they know these members will be there. And so that kind of helps the staff, realize so-and-so wants to do this activity. We have to do it on Monday because that's the day that they're going to be here. Another thing is that our schedules are set. So we know who's coming and when they're coming. It's not going to change unless we have a team meeting about it. So that is another nice thing about that too. There is the occasional, somebody's sick and can't go to work. That's when you have to have that conversation across departments, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, the schedule's set and it's sitting at the table, and the staff kind of knows, they're well prepared for the day, and they know the routine and who's going to be in and who's going to be out.
That kind of ties into that, you talked about the duly trained staff and kind of even utilizing day staff as like maybe job coaching or employment support staff. How cool, first of all. Will you tell us a little more specifically about, and again, if it's just off the top of your head, but what kind of that foundational training you are offering them? Are they learning any job coaching strategies? For example, tell us more.
We basically did just kind of the preliminary job coaching, what you would do for an individual that was a job coach in the first year. It's pretty much the same training. Just getting those principles down, how to interact with employers, and just the basics of it, how to, even what is employment, because, a lot of individuals that are, employed with My Day, they might not necessarily have any idea about employment or that kind of stuff. So just giving them the vague understanding of employment and what employment is, and, just kind of the history of who we are.
Supported employment.
Yeah.
Got it. Yes. Cool. Yeah, I was wondering about those job coaching skills and techniques, because I'm thinking, coaching and teaching, blends in nicely into probably a lot of the stuff you're doing in day have anyway. And that that probably feels beneficial to them to have that knowledge and skill set, kind of regardless if they're like employment specific staff. Probably find that really helpful, I'm guessing.
It just really opens up that network. It's just a whole more load of people that know, what to be looking for jobs out in the community. And like Brenda did, screenshotting that job and sending it on. That was huge. I don't think the job coach league would have probably seen that. So, it would have been missed. So,
and it truly takes a village,
does.
You can't just be siloed in your departments. It's everybody in on employment first, it's not just employment going out and finding those jobs. It's every, piece of the puzzle that has to fit together for that individual to be successful.
Yeah. No, right. It's a team effort, and it's so much easier and more successful that way too. And I feel like, Brenda not only got the screenshot, saw the lead, but she just she knew because she knew him and had been spending so much time with him, and knows him so well. So it's just really cool. And I hear and see a lot of those discovery principles, in what you're doing, again, kind of back to, what's somebody's passion, and everything's rooted in the community and about making connections and getting advice. And then again, how does someone best learn? How are they best supported? How are we going to make this work? So really cool. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, ideas? Are you thinking about your program and are you excited? Are you wondering how it might work? You can always kind of pose those questions too.
And if anybody thinks of anything later, they can always reach out to us. We're always willing to share and talk about things, or,
it's easy to say everything that goes well, but
we
had a lot of things along the way.
There's still a lot of things that on a daily basis we're like, what do you do with that?
It's just crazy. just don't underestimate the person on the bottom of your list.
right?
Taylor was that person for us.
Yeah, he was one that we looked at and we were like,
Yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna ever get there for community employment, you know?
Yeah. And why was that? Can we talk about that? You know what I mean? Like what were the fears, or what were the you know?
He just, the being on task, being in community and being, you know, socially appropriate.
What the workforce, what the employment field remembered about him was what was going on in the workshop.
Yeah.
So, you know, we were like, well, this is how it went. But
Yeah, back in the day, you know, he could never do a task for more than 30 seconds. So why would we even put ourselves out in the community for that?
yeah,
You
Interesting.
know, it was
Mhm.
just all the story that
Yeah.
people have around the individual, but you know, we're just willing to take a leap of faith and say, you know, with the proper supports, we can do this.
Right. And even though he has like a goal, right, to keep focusing on like completing projects or focusing, right, essentially is kind of what I got from that, or completing a task, right, from start to finish. It does sound like though that you kind of got over that hump of, you know, taking what was seen in a work shelter setting or in that work setting, and that it doesn't necessarily apply, right, to the community or other work settings, right? And it's not like the done deal, right? Am I like understanding you right or hearing you right, that
Yes.
yes.
that doesn't always translate into like what we're gonna do out here, right? And shouldn't be somebody's like final label or final decision, right?
We just have to have the mindset, if somebody wants to work,
Yeah.
they have that right and we can find them, you know,
Mhm.
the proper fit. It's just,
He loves his job. He goes
Yeah.
every day, and when he can't go because he's sick or he has Special Olympics or he has something going on, a doctor's appointment, he's very sad. So I can't say that I wake up every single morning like he does. I love my
We're-
job and I want to go to work, and he just loves his
Right.
job.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Well, we'll just, any more questions, comments? I know that folks wanted your contact information. I saw a couple people ask for that. So I can share that in the email back out, or you can also drop it in the chat before we go, but I can be sure also to share your name and your emails along with the presentation out to the group with the recording. Let me go. So I'm going to share with you. Sorry, I'm just going to pull our evaluation link. So please complete the survey and let us know how you thought today went, what you learned, what your takeaways were. We always appreciate your feedback. In the last eval question, you can always share any like comments or suggestions to improve or for future topics. I especially want to encourage you to share any ideas you might have for particularly August. We're going to be talking about like employer engagement, business development, right? Relationship development, kind of specific to business and employers. I know that's a really hot topic. So if there's questions or strategies that you really want to know about, please let us know, because we're going to have kind of a variety of providers represented that day to kind of share about what they're doing and what's working for them and what's not. So please give us any of that feedback, and that'll help us shape August. So again, here's the evaluation link. I'll be sure to send out the recording, the materials from the day, Maddie and Michaela's contact information as well. And then we will be back July 19th, Tuesday, 1 p.m. to talk about IPS. And again, just let you know kind of some foundational information about that approach or that model, evidence-based model for supported employment for people with chronic mental illness, as well as dual diagnosis. And we'll hear from those implementing in the state and kind of how it's going. So please join us July 19th for that, and I'll send that information out. Ladies, thank you so very much. Just a fabulous amount of information and ideas and strategies. Just great stuff, great work. So thank you so much.
thank you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, absolutely. So